In a village where hardship was a constant neighbor, there was one woman who smiled as if sorrow had never learned her address. She lived in a small weathered home beside an ancient banyan tree, a place that creaked with age but felt warm with peace. Her hair was the color of moonlight, her face etched with the soft lines of time, yet her eyes held a rare and gentle light. No matter how heavy life became, she carried a quiet joy that puzzled everyone. She had no children, and her husband had been gone for many years, but she never spoke of loss or regret. Each morning she would sit beneath the banyan tree, greeting passers-by, listening more than she spoke, and offering a calm, steady smile that seemed to understand everything. Life in the village was far from easy. Survival demanded strength every single day. The soil would crack when the rains failed, illness would steal the vigor from working hands, and worry settled into homes like a permanent resident. Many hearts grew tired long before the day even ended. It was in this setting that a young mother named Radha arrived at the old woman's door one afternoon. Her hands trembled, her eyes were swollen with tears, and fear spilled from her before any words could. Weeks had passed with no money, no message, and no sign of her husband. Her children cried from hunger, and her nights were filled with a cold, endless dread. The old woman gently guided her to sit and asked her, "What do you believe will happen next?" Radha wiped her face and whispered that she could only imagine loss, failure, and abandonment. The old woman nodded slowly. "When the mind feeds on fear," she said, her voice soft but clear, "the heart grows heavier. But when hope is given space, strength quietly returns." Radha looked down at her worn hands. "How is hope possible when everything feels broken?" she asked, her voice cracking. The old woman smiled. "Then listen carefully," she began. She told Radha a story about a man who once sat beside a river with empty hands and a shattered spirit. An elder approached him, and the man cried out that he owned nothing and could not find peace. The elder simply pointed to the flowing water, the vast open sky, and the cool shade of the trees surrounding them. He reminded the man that breath, light, and life itself were still present. He explained that searching only for what is missing always leads to sorrow, but noticing what remains is the path to calm. The man listened, and as he did, his tears slowly stopped. His life didn't magically change that day, but his spirit did. And from that one small shift, everything else began to follow. The old woman turned back to Radha. "Nothing changed for him except his thoughts," she explained. "Yet that was enough to begin a new path." Radha hesitated. "Can thinking differently truly change my life?" she asked, a sliver of doubt still in her voice. The old woman's smile was unwavering. "Yes," she said. "Begin each morning by believing the day holds possibility. That belief will give you the courage to work, to wait, and to endure. Fear weakens the body, but hope steadies it." Radha took a deep, shuddering breath and decided this would be her beginning. She left the old woman's home with lighter steps. Each morning, she whispered to herself, "Today carries goodness." She worked, she cared for her children, and she waited without the crushing weight of despair. Weeks later, a letter finally arrived. It brought news that her husband had found work. Help was on its way. Radha ran back to the banyan tree, tears of relief now falling freely. The old woman simply smiled and said, "Troubles never disappear, but a hopeful heart walks through them stronger." Word of Radha's story spread through the village, and soon, others began to seek out the old woman's wisdom. Her advice never changed. And slowly, the village began to learn a profound truth, that peace, strength, and resilience often begin not with a change in circumstance, but with a quiet revolution in the mind. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content that explores the power of the human spirit. See you next time.